Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment, here to preview the Tennessee Titans versus the LA Chargers Week 2 matchup for the 2023 NFL season. I was unable to make a preview last week because I was sick, but I'm healthy now, so we are back to our Tighten Up Thursdays. Unless if it's a Thursday again, then we do this usually on Wednesdays, where we preview the Tennessee Titans matchup. And again, this week we have the LA Chargers, who are coming off of a loss themselves. They lost 36-34 to the Miami Dolphins in LA. The Titans coming off of a loss in New Orleans to the Saints, 16-15. So both teams, neither team, I should say, wants to start 0-2. So this is going to be a very interesting matchup indeed, especially for playoff implications. I think even for still both teams, I know a lot of Titans fans are a little down on their chances after week one. I'm not abandoning ship quite yet, but we will see as the weeks form ahead. So we're going to discuss these teams, discuss any headlines coming from the Tennessee Titans. Not really. There's one that we're going to talk about in a minute. Discuss some matchups, some things like that, and then give you my Tighten Up key to the game, and then my official game prediction for a score prediction, game prediction for Titans Chargers. So let's begin with the injury report, where we do have something interesting. So we are on, at least I am, in the central time zone. So the LA Chargers official injury report for today has not come out yet. It's literally probably going to go out literally while I'm live right now, which is kind of annoying. So I don't have that ready, although I will on Twitter see if it comes out, and maybe I'll be able to download the picture and put it up real quick. However, here we have the Titans injury report, where but you have the first name, Traylon Burks, full participation. Okay, good. He had a personal thing yesterday, no problem. But you see Amani Hooker, and then you see DeAndre Hopkins. Now, Hooker is still being in the concussion protocol, missing Thursday as well, is not great. But how about DeAndre Hopkins, that ankle? So the ankle was not a big deal. It was nothing that was noted on the broadcast. However, it is something that does exist. It is something that you could see when you watch the tape again, something that, is late in the fourth quarter. Let me just say in the fourth quarter. He play after that, though. Is there a chance that he'll miss this game? Now, I'll always say there's a chance. I think they're just being precautionary. He is a veteran, and you want to be safe with your veteran. So I would not panic yet. If he misses tomorrow, I still think he'd probably play. I'd be very surprised if this ankle injury is so bad to the point where you can't play. I think this is an ankle injury where they're going to, just juice you up and you'll play. Similar to how Jeffrey Simmons, I'm not saying they're exact same injury, but Jeffrey Simmons had an ankle injury for all of the end of last season, the last 6 games, maybe even more of the season. And every single week they just juiced it up and he went out and played. So I think it's something like that. So I expect him to play. I think they're just being precautious. However, the thing that stinks about this is you're looking at this team right now, and you're looking at the fact that Ryan Tannehill was absolutely awful last week, and that the pass game was absolutely awful. And we had hoped to get the passing game rolling a little bit, to get Tannehill and Hopkins with a little bit more rapport and a little bit more chemistry. And guess what? We're going to get none of that, because I guarantee you this. Well, I won't guarantee. I would bet that Hopkins tomorrow is probably going to be limited. I don't think he's going to be a full participant tomorrow. And even if he is, it's only one day of practice. For Tannehill and Hopkins, only one day of practice coming off of that awful performance in week 1. Why would we believe that they're going to be any better in week 2? So, and look, they had all training camp to get that together too, so I'm not discarding that. But off the heels of what we saw in week 1, it would have been nice. It would have been nice to have Hopkins and Tannehill get more than just max 1 practice and maybe 0. So not great, but hey, if Tannehill doesn't force the ball to him in double coverage, then maybe it won't be as much of a problem. If Tannehill doesn't force the ball to him, maybe period, it won't be that much of a problem. Again, I don't know why. Look, I know we need to use this guy. There's a difference between using him and 13 targets for him versus 3 to Traylon Burks. I think it should be Hopkins with 8 or 9. I think it should be Burks with 6 or 7, period, every week. And I think by the end of the season, Burks should be getting more. As long as Burks proves himself, if he's dropping passes and whatnot, whatever, I think by the end of the season, at the least, I prefer midseason, Burks should be the number 1 wide receiver. Burks should be getting more targets. That's what if our team is decent, we need that. We need Burks to ascend to being that level Because Hopkins, again, and like I said it when we signed him, he's going to be a 900-yard wide receiver if you force him 1,000, but he's not what he used to be. So if you're expecting that, I hate to cut it to you, Haas. All right, so outside of that, we had Fulton limited hamstring. This is his thing with the hamstring. It's just always going to be there. Tajay Sharp, groin, limited full. Tier Tart, limited. Trey Avery, full. And then Dylan Raines, full. So nothing to see there. So for the Chargers, let me see if their injury report has come out yet. And let's see if I can. If so, I can quickly do a download and put it there. But yesterday, we saw Joey Bosa, and he actually had this injury in game. We saw Joey Bosa on the injury report with a hamstring, and Austin Eckler as well. Now, this is very, very, very interesting, folks. Now, let me see. Has it come out yet? So not yet for the Chargers injury report, but Austin Eckler did miss today as well with an ankle injury, as did Joey Bosa with a hamstring. Austin Eckler is huge for me. Bosa's also huge, but Austin Eckler even more so. And I'll tell you why as we get into my tighten up keys for the game, but Bosa's the better player. Do not get me wrong. Bosa's the more impactful, but I think for this matchup and for the Chargers offense, I think Eckler is more important. But for us, just for us. But those are two that we need. And we're going to get more into that. But honestly, for me, this one kind of comes down to Eckler and what he does for that offense. So those are two huge ones that you want to continue to monitor. No offense to Austin Eckler. He's already injured, so it's not like I'm wishing injury upon him. I wish he don't play, dog. Heal up, but I wish he don't play. And same goes for Bosa as well. And remember, Bosa wasn't there for our matchup last year. Remember when the Titans played the Chargers last year, late in the year, December, when we lost 17-14, but that game was tied 14-14. It was tied 7-7 throughout most of the game. It was Bosa was out. Derwin James was out. Those are two that could be playing this time around that were not last year. Tannehill was actually playing for that one, and it was just a late loss for us. A pretty close game, though. I can say that, at least for us. So with that said, let's move on. Let's go ahead and look at my tighten up keys for the game. And let's start with tighten up key number 1, and that is to get the run game early and stay at it. I don't know why, for the life of me, why Tim Kelly decided to move off of the run game last week. I don't know why. I'd love to know why. It was the only thing that was working for our offense early. Derrick Cameron was running it well. And then they decided, hey, let's split the carries between Ty J and Derrick Henry. And they had an interesting answer about that this week. Vrabel was saying that, he wants it to be more of a committee. Okay. Like, here's my thing. While Tajay Spears had a very impressive and explosive touchdown in the preseason, and I like his future prospects as a receiving back and a contributor for this team, I don't think day one it should be 50-50. I don't believe that. I don't know if it should ever be 50-50 while Derrick Henry's here, to be honest with you. But for right now, sure. But for right now, definitely not 50-50. I mean, it's for me, again, even though, yes, Ty J is the much more versatile route runner for sure, and the much more natural pass catcher. I mean, we see what Derrick Henry does in the receiving game. It's not like he's nothing. He gets blocks. He gets screens. Hell, the screen last week to him is one of our more explosive plays because Tannehill missed every other throw. So I don't buy that. I think that's BS. And look, I know we don't like the run, pass, but the run, pass would have been better than what we got last week, to be honest with you. If we would have run, passed throughout the entire game last week, we would have won the game. We would have won the game. So I think it's one of those things where Tim Kelly was trying to do too much of not wanting to be Downing or not trying to be Arthur Smith. Look, Arthur Smith, you can give him hell for what he's doing in Atlanta. I mean, the guy led one of the best offenses in 2020 for a reason. It kind of worked, the run, pass. At times, don't do it too much. But you got Derrick Henry, and he hasn't lost a step. I mean, my God, everyone's expecting Derrick Henry to have lost a step, to not perform. He was the only reason we moved the ball. He was the only reason we moved the ball. And then 4 throws to Hopkins whenever they worked. That was it for the offense. So, and also, last year, the LA Chargers had the worst defense in the NFL in terms of giving up runs, yards per carry at 5.4 runs per carry allowed. It's ridiculous. They were fifth most rushing yards allowed, period. Funnily enough, though, last week the Dolphins could not get the run game going. I don't know why. The only thing I can really contribute that to is, so Bosa didn't play most of last year. He did play last week. And also Derwin James was kind of in and out of the lineup last year as well. J.C. Jackson, but he's a corner, so that doesn't really impact much of anything. And they've had a couple of additions there. But I'm not buying it. I think that they're still weak inside, and I think you can still have success against them. Even though the Dolphins didn't, I think with Derrick Henry, you can at least try it. All right. If not, you can go. Apparently, they're now susceptible to the pass. They were not last year. Last year, they were one of the top pass defenses in the league. Last week, Tua Tagovailoa throws for 466 freaking yards. Tyreek Hill gets 215 receiving yards. So the Chargers had a very weird and uncharacteristic performance last week defensively. Last year they were great against the pass, bad against the run. Last week that completely flipped. So I'm not buying it yet. I don't think it changes like that. I think that it was just the nature of the game, and it just became a shootout at a certain point, and then everyone just kind of went along with it. So I at least want to start with the run and see what's happening with the run before you go to the pass, because I mean, yeah, if I had to choose, I think they're more susceptible still to the run. I don't like their interior defense. I don't like their linebackers. Their corners, J.C. Jackson, again, he missed like all of last year. Derwin James has been in and out of the lineup. He's been in and out. Asante Samuel played very well last year. He did not play well last week. Michael Davis is good. So I think their pass defense is still stronger. So I would much rather attack their middle and the meat of the defense before anything else. So I think that should be tighten up key number one. Tighten up key number two. Got to get Tannehill in better rhythm and no turnovers. I mean, for Tannehill, this is huge. And again, I don't think he's going to get benched this game. Even if it ends up being a blowout, then maybe Willis gets some reps. But I'm talking about like literally just, okay, let's just go. No passing game in rhythm. It's huge. I mean, at this point, with how bad it was last week, under 50% completion percentage, having the 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, went to the red zone 5 freaking times, couldn't come down with 1 touchdown. Unbelievable. We have got to get this pass game going. And it's incredible because all those, trips to the red zone, I'm just like, hey, just throw a little slant to Traylon Burks or something. Like, try to get, Tyjae Spears into space. It was just awful. So I have problems with the red zone offense right now, with Tim Kelly's cooking down there or lack thereof. It's very bizarre. The turnovers, as we know, not capitalizing on the missed throws. I mean, we've been over this. We've been ranting, or at least I have been ranting about this all week. How awful it was so bad. How awful Tannehill was. But so this week, a key, gotta get him in rhythm, gotta get him going. I haven't had to say this in years. Since like maybe the Jake Locker days where I'm like, maybe Mariota a little bit. Okay, Mariota a little bit, where I'm like, okay, let's emphasize to get our quarterback some more confidence. Okay, I did with Mariota a little bit. And get the pass game going. Haven't had to do that in years, but that's where we're at. And then number 3, get after Herbert. Now, here's my thing, guys. The Chargers offense scares the hell out of me, especially when Austin Eckler is in there, man. Here's the Chargers' current setup. And by the way, I still can't believe they weren't even as good as they should have been last year. You're talking about Keenan Allen, who at his advanced stage, granted, and he's not going to, get any more 1,000-yard seasons. He's done with that. But he's still one of the top receiving possession receivers in the league, in the slot, most of the time. You have Mike Williams, okay? Big, tall, good speed for his size at, 5'3", 40. Will normally not beat you over the top, but could. Okay, could. Big body wide receiver, huge in the red zone, etc. So they draft this guy, Quentin Johnston, who didn't play much last week at all. I know how much he's going to play this week. But he's just lurking, just waiting in the wings. Who's like another Mike Williams. That's kind of who I compared him to. They both dropped the ball. They got Joshua Palmer, who does a little bit of both. And then you got Austin Eckler, who's one of the most dangerous, if not I'll say one of the most dangerous receiving backs in the NFL. And Justin Herbert. Now, everyone loves to praise Justin Herbert. I don't think he's as good as he could be with these weapons. And I think why people want to praise Justin Herbert is they look at those passing yards. Wow. He had 4,700 passing yards. Wow. He had 5,000 passing yards. Wow. As a rookie, he had over 4,000 pass yards. But then I look at it, I'm like, wait a minute. I think you should have had more. Why did you only have 6.8 yards per attempt? What's going on with that? For all the arm that Justin Herbert has, for all the talent that he has, he is sometimes afraid to push the ball deep. Now, one of the reasons is none of those guys is a burner. None of those guys is a guy that runs 4.4 easily. 4.49 is like Johnston, but that's, in the 40 time, no jersey, no cleats, no nothing. He's not fast. So that limits that. And there's a lot of checkdowns. Okay, that's kind of what they do. So if you get after him, you force him to, have to hit one of those checkdowns early. And then you're able, and really, I'm not too afraid about them going over the top. If they do it, I mean, they have these taller guys as opposed to our corners who are not particularly tall. I mean, McCreary's 5'11", Fulton should be 6 foot, if I remember correctly. Murphy Bunting, I think, is also 6 foot or 6'1". Byers like 6 foot. Amon Hook is probably like 6'1". So I'm not saying to load the box. Definitely, run your 2, even 3, maybe not many 3 safety sets. But don't be afraid to get after him, force him to get the ball out early. And get him uncomfortable. That way he gets unafraid of looking down the field and really pushing, because he'll hit that check down. I mean, Herbert will hit that check down. The thing historically with the Chargers is that, their run game has been pretty weak. So he still racks up over 4,700 yards last year, but you're looking, there's only 6.8 yards per carry or yards per attempt. If you give him, a top 10 yards per attempt, he would have broke the passing record. I mean, really, if he would have had like 7.5 yards per attempt last year, he would have broke the passing record easily. But now they have Kellen Moore. And Kellen Moore is coming in and he's infusing the run game. Now, luckily for us, we're good against the run. So I'm not worried about that. I'm not even going to come in here and say, tighten up keys for us to stop the run, because I think we will stop the run. I'm not even going to say that. I'm much more afraid about Herbert potentially pushing the ball down the field. I think that's more impactful. So with that said, this is important because this is where my prediction comes into play. For me, in this Chargers offense, and again, I can't believe they weren't more dominant last year, but now they actually have Kellen Moore, who's actually capable. And again, they lost last week in a barn burner against Miami. Granted, yes, I know the Chargers were at home, but they have barely any home field advantage. They travel well. For me, it really does come down to that little running back, Austin Eckler. I know. I do think it's close because I think both of these two teams are desperate. And I do think that matters. Okay, I know some people say, well, it doesn't really matter. Isn't any NFL team desperate, especially this early in the season? Yeah, but none of these teams are 0-2, especially Brandon Staley, who he's on the hot seat. Okay, if the Chargers do not make the playoffs, he's going to get fired, period. Okay, if they make the playoffs and they're out round one, pretty sure he's going to get fired. That's like 50-50 for me. If they win a playoff game, then he's fine. So for me, and how Kellen Moore wants to use Austin Eckler, and also he finally had Joshua Kelly, who did not look impressive to me last year at all. He finally had Joshua Kelly looking impressive last week. So if Eckler's out, they're going to use Kelly, but I'm less afraid about Kelly than I am Eckler. So this, for me, and I know people are going to think this is so stupid to rely on, a running back for this, but it really does come down to the running back. If Austin Eckler plays, I got to have us losing. But I think it's going to be close. So this is what I have. I think it's actually going to be some points scored because the Chargers are going to score points this year, basically, period. Unless it's just a week where they don't show up, which was also similar to guesses. I like that last year we only limited them to 17 points. There's reason to believe that we do that again. That was the second fewest points that they scored last season. However, I do think that was a bit of an anomaly. I'm not betting on that again. It could happen. Maybe we just have their number. I doubt it. I think that was a bit of an anomaly. So I think what I'm going to have is as of right now, Titans 24, which for us is high scoring. I know some people's like, that's not that high. Yeah, for us, that's kind of high scoring. And then I will say Chargers 27. However, if Eckler is out, in fact, actually, let me change that. I'll say Titans 26, Chargers 27. If Eckler is out, I'll say Titans 26, Chargers 24. I think Eckler moves it by 3 points. That's what I'll say. I say Eckler will move it by 3 points. It's so close, both of these two teams for me. But when he's out, I think he's going to make a play or two against this defense, combined with those wide receivers, where for me, it's just going to be a little too hard for me to pick them and for me to see us consistently stopping them. I just feel like they'd have the ball late and they'd score and they'd win. If Tannehill had been playing better and if our offense had looked more consistent at this point and I felt we're definitely prepared to win a game like this after week 1, I'd feel much more confident. But I didn't see that. So I'd be going out and saying we're going to look much better than we did offensively last week. And I'm not ready to say that because the Chargers are going to score points. Look, I know our defense is going to get after it. I know we're going to stifle. Eventually, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Eckler if he plays. This is why the prediction is depending if he plays. Joshua Palmer, Joshua Kite, they're going to make plays. And again, outside of just weeks where the Chargers do not show up, they're going to score points. Last year, they had one week 3 performance against the Jaguars, only had 10 points. I don't really know what the hell happened in that game. They had the game against us where they scored 17. They had another game where they scored 19. Outside of that, they scored over 20 points every game, right? Every game. And a lot of those 30 points, you know? So at least a decent amount of them. So they're going to be better. With Kellen Moore, they're better offensively. Just adding Kellen Moore, it's a huge addition. I don't know why the Cowboys let him go outside of Mike McCarthy's damn ego. I mean, literally, that's it. I don't blame Kellen Moore for Dak Prescott being an idiot. He's just an idiot sometimes for throwing interceptions. So we're going to find out. I know that's not what everyone wanted to hear or see. I will say this. If we lose this week, I need to see how the Browns play. But the Browns are coming off a Monday night. I don't think we'll start 0-3. Unless if this is a disaster. Okay? So if we lose this, I'm picking us against the Browns basically regardless. Even if they steamroll the Steelers. And they would really have to steamroll the Steelers. Coming off of a Monday night and then us being 0-2, I'm picking us week 3 against the Browns in Cleveland. I am. I definitely would. Just as we were 0-2 last year and then we beat the Raiders at home in week 3 when we needed to, I think we would do the same. So that's my prediction as of this moment. That is my preview of the LA Chargers versus the Tennessee Titans. So what are your thoughts on this upcoming matchup? Do you like the Titans more than me this week? I mean, I'm an idiot for picking the Chargers to win this game. Comment down below. I want to know if you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. Until next time, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. See you all later.